Politics now worsens. Kamal Hassan attacks the centre and the AIDMK over a delay in forming the Kaveri board. DMK cadres go on a day-long hunger strike even as there will be a Tamil Nadu Bandh tomorrow when the Prime Minister visits Chennai. A day after the BJP president vowed to oppose Siddaramaia's Lingat card in Karnataka, the Congress President Rahul Gandhi refuses to answer queries on the issue, tells the media to ask the questions to Siddaramaia. The Chief Minister says the ball is in the centre's court. Days after the nationwide protests over the SC/ST Act, Prime Minister Modi reaches out to Dalits, says his government is walking on the path shown by Ambedkar, assures Dalits his government will not ever scrap reservations to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes in education and jobs. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan quotes controversy is making mantris out of religious Babas. India Today accesses posters of Babas threatening to take out a yatra to expose the Shivraj government before they are bestowed minister status. China plans to impose a 25% tariff on $50 billion worth of US exports as the trade wars worsen. It takes a toll on global markets. The Sensex down 350 points. Indian captain Virat Kohli slams former Pakistani cricketer Shahid Afridi over his anti-India rant on Kashmir. Kohli says as an Indian he stands against everything that's anti-India. And Cristiano Ronaldo is the toast of the footballing world after scoring a jaw-dropping goal against Juventus in the Champions League quarter-finals as Real Madrid win 3-0.
Another magical moment!
But our top story tonight, petrol is literally on fire. To be more specific, petrol prices are literally on fire in the country. They've reached now a 4-year high. Let's take a look at where petrol prices at the moment are standing. And we're going to compare it to April 2013. So really a 5-year high. In 2018, as of today, in Mumbai, petrol 81.80 paise per litre. April 26, it was 65 and it was much lower earlier. In Delhi, April 2018, 73.95 per litre. Contrast that with 5 years ago when it was 66. In April 2016, it was 61. In Kolkata, petrol prices 76 rupees 66 paise per litre at the moment. 5 years ago, they were 73. So there wasn't that much of a gap in Kolkata. It's in Mumbai where the gap has been big. In Chennai, petrol now 76.72 per litre. It was 69.08 per litre in April. And in April 2016, it was 60 rupees. So almost a 25% hike there in just the last 2 years. And we're going to also tell you later of how petrol is measuring with neighboring countries, where except for Bangladesh, petrol in India is more expensive. Anger, meanwhile, is growing among consumers as those prices hit a 5-year high. The Modi government is facing the heat from the public and the opposition. Because remember, Prime Minister Modi, when he was Gujarat Chief Minister, had attacked the Manmohan Singh government then, claiming that they had failed to control spiraling petrol prices. The question is, will the state government cut VAT? Will the centre cut excise to give the consumer some relief? Top story tonight, petrol prices on fire.
You can call it the nervous 80s. Petrol today costs you 81 rupees 80 paise per litre if you are in Mumbai. And consumers are worried it will hit a century if the slow but steady march continues unchecked. It's a record nobody wants, least of all Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had made price rise a big issue in his 2014 campaign. 4 years later, his famous words are back to haunt him.
जिस प्रकार से पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ा दिए, ये दिल्ली सरकार की शासन चलाने की नाकामयाबी का जीता जागता सबूत है। मैं आशा करूंगा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी देश की स्थिति को गंभीरता से लें और पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ाए हैं उसको वापस करें।
That was Modi raising troubling questions on the handling of oil prices by then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. The global oil prices today are lower than what it was under UPA, but petrol and diesel prices are at the highest in 4 years. In Delhi, a litre of petrol costs nearly 74 rupees and diesel almost 65 rupees. While the rates are the highest in Mumbai, in Chennai petrol cost close to 77 rupees and diesel a little more than 68. The Modi government says its hands are tied and has put the onus on states to cut taxes on petrol and diesel.
We have expected similar cooperation from states. Some states have reduced their VAT. On this occasion, when there is a price issue, let respective states should respond accordingly.
Rising fuel prices have a ripple effect on the economy. Prices are bound to rise and the Congress is smelling blood.
बड़े बड़े वादे करके सत्ता में आ गए, पर जो हुआ पूरा मुल्क जानता है. आज झूठे आरोप लगा करके सत्ता में आना एक बात है और सच्चाई बिल्कुल दूसरी बात है.
Unless the Modi government gets its act together and finds a solution to rising oil prices, memes like these, tweeted by the Congress President Rahul Gandhi, are bound to hurt the party's prospects in election-bound states. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise some of the big questions then tonight. Will the rising fuel prices affect the BJP's electoral fortunes this year? Who handled the fuel prices better, Mr. Modi or the Manmohan Singh government? Are fuel prices not an issue for the middle class anymore? How will rising fuel prices affect the economy? Does good economics make for bad politics? And the question that I should have asked, is the time come to cut excise duties and VAT? Those are some of the questions tonight. Narendra, Taneja, spokesperson BJP, who's also an oil expert, I can tell you. Also joining us, Labaindu Mansingh, ex-chairperson Petroleum Regulatory Board. In the studios, Professor Gaurav Ballabh, spokesperson Congress, and Rajiv Dubey, our managing editor business. Appreciate all of you joining us. I just want to play Narendra, Taneja, that bite once for you, because it will haunt you in this election year. Narendra Modi as the leader of the opposition, hoping to be Prime Minister, Gujarat Chief Minister. Listen to what he had to say when petrol prices were spiraling in 2013.
जिस प्रकार से पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ा दिए, ये दिल्ली सरकार की शासन चलाने की नाकामयाबी का जीता जागता सबूत है. मैं आशा करूंगा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी देश की स्थिति को गंभीरता से लें और पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ाए हैं उसको वापस करें.
Narendra, Taneja, the old saying, where you stand depends on where you sit. Much easier in the opposition to ask the government to bring down oil prices. Now the shoe is on the other foot. What is your government doing to bring down oil prices? Dharmendra Pradhan says it's the responsibility of the state governments. But majority of those state governments are ruled by the BJP. Why don't you ask them to bring down VAT, for example?
Well, Rajdeep, no doubt about it, the prices of, petrol and diesel and some of other petroleum products are on the hard side. Consumers are feeling uncomfortable. I'm also feeling uncomfortable because I'm a consumer too. But that said, the fact remains that, it's a commodity that we import. It's an imported commodity. 83% of petrol, crude oil that we consume in this country in terms of petroleum products, petrol, diesel and so on and so forth is imported. So we are heavily dependent on A, imports, B, the price of crude oil overseas and price of petrol and diesel, which is factored in when you fix the price of petrol and diesel at the retail, outlets across India. Now what has happened that the price which is reflecting today is basically the price because until recently the price was $70 per barrel for crude. Actually it has crossed 70. Today as we talk, I just checked the price before I came to your show, is already down to $67.52 per barrel. So I see in about 5 to 6 days it will reflect in prices in India and the prices will come down. it will reflect, because it takes
Narendra
time
Taneja,
of about
Narendra
1 week
Taneja,
to about 10 days to 15
Taneja,
days.
my problem
That
is,
said again, now the
Narendra
question
Taneja,
is-
between December of 2015 to January of 2017, when global oil prices, actually December 2014 to January 2016, when global oil prices were at an all-time low, you didn't pass on the benefit to me, the consumer. Because you kept increasing excise duties at that time. You took advantage of the situation to allow your revenue pool to keep becoming larger and larger. And today, when oil prices are shooting up globally, again I don't get any benefit. The consumer suffers.
No. Rajiv, listen to me. You have a point. I agree with you. You have a point. When the prices were very low, that time we decided to increase the excise, and states accordingly, irrespective of who was ruling in that particular state, they also, increase the price in terms of VAT and sale tax and so on. But that was done in the interest of the consumer. You see, when as a responsible government, we had the option either to pass on everything and therefore basically incentivize burning of petrol and diesel. The other option was to use that money for other activities. So 42% of the excise collected was given straight away to states, and the rest of the money was used for Ujjwala scheme. Today 4 crore women in this country have access to LPG cylinder, which you and me have. We take it for granted. We have used that money to build roads in the rural areas, toilets in the rural area. So that money has been used for the same people, who would have otherwise benefited, and also contaminated air and contaminated water by using oil irresponsibly. Because when it's so cheap, what do you do with that? Now the point is that we were a responsible government. We took the right decision in the larger interest of the people of this country, and people are therefore not complaining. Those who have got LPG, they are very happy. Those who have now roads in rural, they are very happy. Those who have LED bulbs, they are very happy. Those who have access to electricity, they are very happy.
Okay.
Some people in the city might have some difficulty, I can understand. But that was the decision we took. We thought that was the best thing for the people of this country.
Okay, I've heard you. Let me give the Congress an equal amount of time, because the fact is you also have a few state governments. Why don't you set the standards in a way? Tell Amrinder Singh in Punjab, bring down VAT on petrol. No state government is willing to do it. You are in the opposition. Rahul Gandhi takes on Narendra Modi. The fact is, no state government wants to bite the bullet. Everyone wants this cash cow that is coming in from the revenues from oil prices.
Rajdeep, let me clarify one thing. In Karnataka, when we started governance in 2013, our state VAT was 18.6 rupee per litre. Today we had reduced it gradually to 15.4 rupees per litre. And on the same day, the central government excise duty in 2013 was 10.7 rupee per litre, which is nearly increased by double. Now it is 20 rupees per litre. So it is not like that we had not reduced VAT. We had reduced VAT wherever we are in governance. First point. Second point, he is telling that petroleum is a imported product. Was it not there in 2014 and 13? We had seen an era when the petrol prices in international arena was $125 per barrel. But still we maintain that common people, the middle class and the lower class, should not have the heat of this. Third point, see, more than petrol, for me as an economist, worrisome issue is the diesel prices, which is at all-time high. It's not 4-year, 5-year. This is all-time high in the Indian history. And diesel is something which affects everyone. You, me, it is something which affects the lower strata of the society to the highest person of the society.
Okay, I've asked my producer to do a fact check on what you said on Karnataka. I'm going to check that again.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Rajiv...
One small point. And I am asking, he is telling we had done this, that, 7.5 lakh crore, 7.5 lakh crore was an additional amount which Government of India had realized from the excise duty of the petroleum and oil products. What they had done additionally of 7.5 lakh crore, they will say Ujjwala. Ujjwala is, I don't want to discuss today on Ujjwala, but as per the Petroleum Ministry, the Ujjwala scheme, the rate of replacement is half of the initial rate of the issue. So I don't want to discuss into that.
No, the BJP is claiming that the monies that were earned through these high oil revenues were put into infrastructure spending into benefits that have been passed on to the consumer.
So
But
Rajdeep, that was the government is supposed to do that.
let me therefore understand though the economics of it. Rajiv Dubey, your sense, you're hearing the two political parties. Is there a solution which they are denying? Could they, for example, overnight today reduce excise prices? Could the state governments cut VAT? Or are they simply unwilling to let go the high revenues that they are getting almost permanently, irrespective of global prices, whether they are high or low?
They are trapped, Rajdeep. Right now, both the governments at the center as well as the states are trapped in some ways. And this is a classic case where an employee starts considering his annual bonus, when the company is doing well, annual bonus as his permanent income. This is the trap that the government is in right now. When the company is not doing well, your bonus will come down, and the government is not willing to let that go. Neither the states nor the center. If you look at it, the average earnings from the fuel prices in terms of taxation for the government was about 99,000 crore in 14-15. It got a bump up of rupees 1.42 lakh crore. So it became 2.5 lakh crore in the very next year, and the year after it's even higher. So what you're talking about is something that has been, now the government can't let go of this. The problem is that it has started considering its bonus as its permanent income.
It's permanent income. Labhayantu Mansingh, ex-chairperson Petroleum Regulatory Board, is the government unwilling in a sense to let go of the golden goose or the golden oil that we have, the oil that feeds in a sense the government's revenues? The government won't let go and pass on the benefits to me, the consumer. What good use is the open market pricing system for me, the consumer then?
Rajdeep, I would like to make the point that it is far more serious than merely the middle class getting adversely affected. All the petroleum products have been deliberately kept out of the GST. That means there is no set-off, and the cascading effect of the very high levels of taxation, both central and the states, directly impinges on the consumer. More than that, it seriously affects our international competitiveness. So whatever you may try to do in Make in India or whatever, it will have very limited impact because you are not going to be competitive. Now the point is, the argument that it is being used for very good causes, that is not a sound argument, because you just take the revenue estimates of the budget. Whatever has been the estimate, if there is a bonanza due to the oil prices increasing,
right,
that should be passed on by adjusting the central exercise and the VAT. It should be the fixed rate, not the ad valorem rate, so that it increases from.
But no, the question is, and this is where the BJP has to answer, Mr. Mansingh, and let me come to them. Why don't you do that? Why doesn't the center actually do that? What is so difficult in actually at least having a small cut in excise to at least send out some kind of a message that we are concerned about the consumer, Mr. Narendra Taneja? What is it that prevents the government from really pushing the states to come together and say, okay, we will put petroleum products under GST? I know you require unanimity, not easy to achieve. But what is it that at least prevents the center from setting an example and saying, tomorrow morning we are going to have a minor cut in excise duties so that it can benefit the consumer? Is that not possible? Such a powerful government of Narendra Modi can't do that?
You see, Rajdeep, you see the architecture we are talking about in terms of petroleum pricing has been in place for decades now. Dr. Manmohan Singh, as Prime Minister, he took the decision to decontrol both petrol and diesel in 2010.
Yes.
Petrol was decontrolled immediately and diesel were decontrolled in 2014. You see, now what you are talking about, basically, even if we do that, for the sake of discussion, Rajdeep, even if we, for instance, tweak the price of custom a little bit, bring it down, and we compel a couple of states to do that, if this quick fix is not going to solve the problem. The problem is we have to recast the architecture. That's the only solution, and the best way to do that is basically bring petrol and diesel, petroleum product under GST. We have already amended the constitution in order to proceed in that direction. We are also having consultation with finance minister for all the states, including the Congress states, and we are working on it. We are quite hopeful. We will be able to do it as soon as possible. Because let's not forget one thing. If we go for any quick,
one by one. Mr. Taneja, Mr. Taneja, you made a point. Rajiv Dubey wanted to intervene. Just a minute, Mr. Taneja. You said, is it true, Rajiv Dubey, is it not true that it is very difficult to achieve unanimity among the various states to accept that petroleum products will come under GST? Will a Mamata Banerjee agree to it? Will a Chandrababu Naidu agree to it? Is the burden only on the BJP Chief Minister? They've all got to come together.
What did they do, Rajdeep, when GST was being introduced? GST was being introduced. What did they do? There was a carrot and stick. And that's precisely what has to be done in this case as well.
How?
In the case of GST introduction, they said those states who are not participating will get left behind. How did J&K fall in place? How did West Bengal fall in place? How did Kerala fall in place? Right. It happened over a period of time, but it did happen. And so GST got launched on July 1. Here, again you have 20 to 22 states which are BJP allies or BJP itself. So how is it that the centre is not able to persuade its own people, its own party men, to come to a conclusion on this?
Would the Congress governments agree to come under a GST regime for petroleum products?
I am coming to that. When GST was introduced, the GST Council had made a law that states will be compensated for any kind of revenue loss. If they want that petroleum products should be under the GST, they can include that from day one. And for your information, Rajdeep, 26 GST Council meetings are already completed. There was not in a single meeting, this was even an agenda item for discussion. And what they are doing, whenever there is a hike, Petroleum Minister will say, I will promote, I want this to be included in GST. Finance Ministry will keep mum on this, and they will try that something else will come out so that they can get rid of this. Please appreciate, this is a high time. We as a middle class, as a lower income group of the country, we are suffering from this. And
why is the middle class not coming out on the street? Rajiv, answer that. The farmers have come out on the street when it comes to agrarian distress. Mumbai today is paying more than 80 rupees per litre on petrol. But where is the anger? We are talking in the studio that the consumer is angry. Why is the middle class consumer, has he accepted the reality that at the end of the day this is life? Petrol prices will remain high. Has he already accounted for it in his budget?
Middle class by itself is in the middle of its own struggle to earn its living on a day-to-day basis. It's so difficult for it to come and protest on the streets. It's not, but also by and large middle class, upper middle class have almost agreed, almost given in to the fact that these prices will be in the 65 to 70 rupees per litre kind of range. The problem will happen when it crosses 75 or hits somewhere around 80. I think that's going to be the breaking point as far as the middle class is concerned.
You're saying 80 rupees is, but remember 80 is already crossed in Mumbai.
In Mumbai it is, but Mumbai it's almost a norm in
But you heard Narendra Taneja saying he expects global crude prices to fall. As a result, the benefit will come to the consumer in some way.
No, it hasn't. The problem is neither the UPA nor NDA actually followed the principle of market mechanism. Both intervened and both did not let the prices be what they should have been. And today, for instance, if you look at the rates, 18% is a very reasonable rate that you could expect on
in fact, there were what, nine increases in excise duty in that period of 2014 to 2016 when global crude prices were low, which was 397%
for diesel.
397% rise.
40% for petrol.
Yeah.
Yes, but please understand, at the end of the day, neither was the UPA willing to bite the bullet.
Why, Rajdeep, you are comparing that time, average price of the crude was $110 per barrel. Today it is $50 per barrel in the last 4 years. So how can you compare I slightly disagree with Mr.
Rajiv,
Rajiv. He's saying that both are doing similar. When we were in governance, the prices, international prices were $125. When $125 per barrel, then the prices shoot up to the 80 rupees per liter. Today it is 65. Mr. Taneja himself is saying that today's price is $65.
Not through your entire 10 years.
9, 10, 11, 12.
10 years.
Okay,
It was only for a year maybe.
Okay, but at the end of the day, Mr. Taneja, you are conceding in some way.
Allow me to...
No, but you are conceding, Mr. Taneja, that somewhere your government got it wrong probably in 2015 when you kept hiking excise duties despite the fact that global crude prices were at an all-time low. You never passed on the benefit to consumers, which is why Narendra Modi today finds himself in a fix. Which is why Rahul Gandhi can actually put out a meme questioning Narendra Modi.
No, allow me some time. You see, the comparison that you are trying to do is actually not fair. You are also comparing 2013. You see, petrol accounts for just 10% of total consumption of petroleum products. The big boy is diesel, which is 40% and plus. 2013 petrol was subsidized. How can you compare the price of diesel that time? Diesel was subsidized. How can you compare the price of diesel then and now? Diesel is decontrolled now. That time, thanks to Dr. Manmohan Singh's decision. And the diesel at that time was subsidized. So if those who are comparing, they are ignorant of this very fact. The fundamental fact is being completely ignored. You know, subsidized commodity, you're comparing with the decontrolled commodities. How can you do that? Anyone who has little sense of economics would never do that. Now the point here is that, you know, the decision we took to increase that, and the result is that people just go out of Delhi, go out of your air-conditioned comfort, and you see how people are happy with LPG cylinder, with LED bulbs, solar power, and all those things. That's what we need. We work for the people. We don't work for just one family.
When you will ask A question, he will respond to G question. That is a strategy. That is strategy. He will come to Ujjwala. When we start discussing Ujjwala, he will go to Make in India. When we will start Make in India, he will say Swachh Bharat.
Okay. Let's leave it there. Clearly at the moment...
I never do that.
You
are ignorant. I'm giving you the facts. I'm discussing everything is based on facts, Rajdeep.
Okay.
I only talk facts. Okay. I don't talk theories unlike some other people. Okay. I talk facts.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there.
I don't talk stories unnecessarily. Because they don't know business, they don't know facts. So they only talk stories.
Mr. Taneja, is petrol prices are at a 5-year high. That's the fact. Let's be very clear. And this is despite the fact that you had an opportunity in 2014, 2015 to pass the benefit on to the consumers. Now when global prices register a small high, petrol prices in this country are at a 5-year high. Let's not run away from it.
Nothing to do with the present situation.
Okay. You can say that. I don't know whether the consumer will believe you or not. Let's leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on my top debate tonight. My take. The government's decision to move away from a price control mechanism to open market pricing of oil was meant to ostensibly benefit the consumer. Unfortunately, just the opposite seems to have happened, with the government choosing to see its large oil revenues as a permanent cash cow. High excise duties and VAT have been used by the centre and state governments to aggrandize their coffers, even while the consumer suffers. Surely when global oil prices are now rising, the government should review their excise and VAT rates to reduce the burden on consumers. There may be a sound economic rationale for keeping oil prices high. The revenues earned can then be spent on public infrastructure. It can also encourage more efficient energy usage. But how high is high? Maybe in an election year, it is time for the middle-class consumer to remind the government that good economics in theory often makes bad politics in practice. Here is my challenge. If Prime Minister Modi, who repeatedly attacked the previous UPA government for failing to control spiraling oil prices, is genuinely concerned for the Aam Aadmi, then why don't the 20 BJP-ruled states cut VAT? And if Rahul Gandhi is serious, why doesn't he get the Congress government in Punjab to set an example? The middle-class voter may not resort to street dharnas, but it's that old saying, ye public hai, ye sab janti hai. Okay, let's turn from there to the big story that's breaking at the moment.